urbanisation, the first thing is it is complex. It is unresolved. It is as great a challenge as I can imagine that human beings have. Is to the kind of, and I guess in the kind of Southern Asian areas there is an issue of speed here, the quickness at which the kind of rural-urban change is happening, and that is virtually unparalleled, I think, in human existence, the speed at which these things. So the need to develop strategies that prioritise responding to issues, because you can't solve everything at once. The great challenge of urbanisation is to localise it back to very specific groups of people and particular places. Because I think the danger is, as I say, is to generalise it out. And so I think as we move forward, particular projects with particular political contexts, particular economic contexts, particular cultural contexts, and they can be both historical and very contemporary contexts, really need to be understood if urbanisation is to be addressed in a meaningful way. IIHS sets a kind of an objective of building the intellectual and kind of skill resource to address these issues in a particular part of the world in a particular way. So I think in those terms it can only be commended, but it's a great challenge, and I think one of the significant issues is to be able to once again prioritise the key issues early, and then allow it to build up, not try to start a grand plan simultaneously. And so I think one of the great challenges is to distill down the core essence of it, to mobilise on that, to build up that idea gradually, and then allow it to move into a larger scale. I guess the second issue that is a great challenge is in one way the nature of the world in which we live, in that I think when you're thinking about urbanisation and thinking about cities, there has to be a humility. There has to be a willingness to default to the greater good. And I think the history of design and politics is for too long, certainly in the Western world, for too long been about the individual. And I think we are rediscovering the importance of the collective, the value of the collective and the responsibilities that come with that. But I still think that will be a great challenge for IIHS when it comes to very base things like comparative wages or kind of sense of reward, making cities and structuring and putting strategies into the place. In one way, it's the legacy of what you leave behind in these projects, not so much what you achieve in the immediacy. The key challenges of the curriculum, I think is very interesting. In the latest symposium and workshops that we were together, it was that issue once again of where do you start? How do you start it? And how do you kind of build its credibility and its authenticity, and you build it quick enough? So I think that's a great challenge. I think it's a great challenge to pull together the people who can contribute to it from around the world, and but I think there's a kind of a strategy evolving that seems to be putting it into place.